friends to a podcast that's been described as
emotional
and
terrifying.
One guy even said it was
So awesome it will shock you to the core.
finally another podcast about Godzilla and all his giant monster friends.
This could be the end of civilization.
Yeah, probably. So join your hosts, Cass and Slick.
Ladies and gentlemen,
You're listening to the podcast from Odo Island. Welcome to the podcast from Odo Island. Follow us on the interwebs at Odo Island Pod. I am Kess, and with me as always is nothing is but what is not, Slick.
It's poetic.
Yeah. I'm not telling you what it's from. Literary scholars will know.
Is it from Lovecraft?
No.
No? Oh, I was thinking of what is dead may never die.
Well, that was GRRM.
Which is the Cthulhu quote? Where he lays sleeping, but what is dead may never die. Oh yeah, you're right. That is Game of Thrones. It's something different. It's something different for something similar but different. I'm blanking on that now. I would have got that right. If we weren't recording, I would have had that quote right the first try.
Yeah, we got a fun episode this week. It's a topic, the state of the old Monsterverse.
Yes.
We're going to talk about
a little round table.
Yeah.
Square table.
A round table with two ends.
Yep.
But before we get to that, I've been out of the loop for a little bit. You want to lay any news on me that might be newsworthy?
I was trying to actually think if there was anything newsworthy. And I actually feel like there hasn't really been anything newsworthy between the last episode and this. I mean, I'm sure there's something, but nothing that stuck out to me is oh man, we gotta really break that down, in the opening. we gotta really break that down in the news segment. So I don't think I really have anything on that front, and I'm sure the second we stop recording, something big will break, and we will no longer be topical. It's
an inside job. They're waiting for us to record before they drop the news. We're just like the CU podcast.
Yes, this is how Pat Contry and Ian felt.
Well, you are Italian, and I do have long hair, so.
Well, there you go. and glasses now, just like Ian.
I do have glasses now. It's awesome because I can see.
Yeah.
But it stinks that I need glasses.
Listen, it
because sometimes I forget.
My wife also just had to start wearing glasses for the first time in her life this year. Yeah. So,
But you get to your car and then all of a sudden you're just oh yeah, I should probably get my glasses.
You need one of those old man the strings that you tie around the back and you can just hang them from your neck the whole time.
I would just need it for so many items though. I'd have 8 strings tied to me with just stuff dragging behind me.
You just
it'd be like Spawn's cape.
I was gonna say it just sounds like a whole bunch of chains just dragging behind you.
But yeah, no news, I guess, is good news.
Yeah. Leaves more room for topic discussion.
Same with the Robin Hood Men in Tights joke. No news is good news.
That's a good dated, not dated, but just
it's pretty dated.
Yeah, movie's dated. Yeah.
It came out.
Yeah, but it's a deep cut.
Yeah.
Deep cut. You must have watched that recently.
No, I haven't watched it in probably 10 years.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, that one stayed with you.
So yeah, we'll move on directly to the main course then. No appetizers here.
Yeah.
Is there any table setting that you want to?
I guess a little bit here. I guess so. We're gonna kind of, it's been almost 10 years of the Monsterverse. Not quite 10 years. Not meant to be some 10-year recap or anything like that. But I mean,
a decade of destruction.
Yeah, there we go. But if you kind of consider consider when the Monsterverse started production wise, we are well into that 10-year time frame. So
I think it was San Diego Comic-Con 2012 that had Godzilla walking by the office window.
Yeah, I think the trailer was the same year.
Yeah.
With the Oppenheimer quote playing over it, which there you go. That's topical for that. I saw
What is
lots
dead
of
may never die.
I saw lots of memes comparing that old trailer to the Oppenheimer movie being out. But anyway, so since then we've gotten 4 movies, multiple comics, multiple novelizations, 2 toy lines, at least, not counting Bandai or like 2 true toy lines.
Like Jackson.
Yeah,
Playmates.
Jackson Playmates. Like obviously there's been Haya figures coming out now. Like we got, there's SH Monster Arts and Bandai figures, but like those are kind of like one-off. Not even one-off, but you know what I mean. Like they don't feel like it's like not like the toy line for the movies. They are figures of those characters in the movies, but Jackson Playmates were like are a true toy line, dedicated toy line created
For the
because of
Monsterverse, yeah.
yes, exactly. So
And it's not like Playmates did do like the classic Toho monsters too.
R.I.P.
Yeah,
Leave the memories alone.
but like they also had the Godzilla versus Kong line, like strictly for that. So yeah, I get what you're saying.
So we have the Kong anime now, and we have at least one upcoming movie on the horizon and a TV show. And so I think we're going to kind of talk about these different things that have come out of the Monsterverse, things we like, things we don't like. Not kind of really I don't think there's any need. Like we've already kind of reviewed all the movies. I don't think I don't think it's going to be that sort of discussion. I think we're going to just talk about different aspects of it.
Yeah, they're like lasting impact.
Yeah, exactly. And what do we hope to see in the horizon and things like that. So I think it should be
More
a little
Ghidorah.
maybe. So I guess, and you and I both kind of wrote up some topics like we sent them to each other, but we didn't really game plan what we were going to say. So
No, I figured that was the intent.
yes,
I would have had.
no, we got to be fresh and raw and off the cuff.
Yeah, if you had been like you wanted a game plan, I would have been like, yeah, sure.
No. We got to be fast and loose here. So, did we expect all this
No,
when the Monsterverse started?
no. I expected 2 to 3 movies,
Yeah.
and then they would just fizzle away.
Yeah, actually, so let's when this first came out, like I don't know, like I know you've always kind of had like an interest in Godzilla and stuff like that. I think it's probably
I cast a wide net,
it's
as the girls tell me.
It's probably like ebbed and flowed over the years, and I think I think a lot of it probably like whatever Godzilla update you probably got through like me talking
Yes.
about it like over the years. So
Yeah.
do you kind of recall like where you were ebbing or flowing at this point in your interest level when
I was pumped when I saw the trailer for 2014.
yeah.
I was like, oh, okay, so this is going to be the movie that 98 should have been. Like, this is going to be the American Godzilla movie. And it was. There were things I liked about it, things I don't like about it. But, like, I remember, like, seeing the design just being like, yes, that looks awesome. The poster, I was like, he looks enormous over the city. I was like, this is going to be great.
Yep.
This is going to be special.
Yeah. I was very excited to hear that anything Godzilla related was happening. I've said before, like I thought Final Wars was for a long period of time. I was like, oh god, I was like, that's the end of the franchise, and it ends with Final Wars. Like, and like they always kind of said, like, you got to let Godzilla rest for a while, and like, maybe like 10 years or so, give or take, and it ended up being about 10 years. But
He's like Pennywise.
but I was just like, I saw, from my point of view, I saw, the public interest in Godzilla just kind of fade away.
Yeah.
Like Final Wars was like a bomb of a movie at the time. I feel like now it's kind of developed a little bit of like a cult following as far as Godzilla movies go. But
It's funny, but it's like it's one of those weird kind of movies. Like
yeah,
like I almost like the non-Godzilla stuff better than the Godzilla stuff just for how zany and B-movie it is.
yeah. It's it feels like, well, I don't want to like rehash Final Wars too much, but it's like you had so many good, so many good deep movies like in the Millennium era, like the Mechagodzilla duology, GMK, and then it just like totally shifted back to Final Wars and just being, hey, we're gonna have some like X-Men, Matrix, Star Wars knockoff things, whatever. But anyway, so I was like, oh man, I was like, is that it? And then like we got this, and I was like, we got rumblings of this, and then we should probably touch on Pacific Rim. Pacific Rim's kind of like in the periphery of this.
I feel like that's what sort of started this whole thing for reals, was getting Pacific Rim out in 2013, the year before Godzilla. I feel like maybe Godzilla was probably in production around the same time, maybe before.
Oh, it's
Pacific
been in
Rim.
production for. I mean, it's been in production for years prior to 2013.
So, but I feel like Guillermo del Toro sort of got his movie out there, and it sort of revitalized, because you had Transformers and stuff too, but I wouldn't really call that kaiju necessarily.
Yeah.
This was more like giant mechs versus giant monsters, and like it's big dumb fun.
Yeah.
And I think that's sort of what people are like, I miss that. Like this is what Godzilla could be.
Right. And when I saw it, I was like, okay, and the kaiju, like, in Pacific Rim, like, you know, whenever I think of like when Western movies try to do kaiju, like, they tend to be very bug-like or very, like, you know, I don't know, tentacle squid monster type things. Like, whereas like the Pacific Rim ones kind of got away from that, and they kind of went to like Toho type designs, where it's like they're kind of reptilian in nature, or they just kind of have these like cool exotic designs. They're not busy designs.
For what they were used in the movie, like way more effort went into designing them than like having them appear. Because like Karloff is in the movie for like 3 seconds.
Yeah, I think Hammerhead. I think is the one that kind of came as the mascot of that one. So,
or like Leatherback.
Yeah, Leatherback's the very final one, right?
No, Leatherback is the one in the fight in Hong Kong.
Oh yeah, okay.
He's like the big 4-leg, the one that had the baby that ate.
Okay, yeah. I'm not very good at the Pacific Rim kaiju's names, but yeah. Remember that came out? I was like, all right. I was like, it's in development. You know, like, okay, like this is kind of giving me hope. Trailer certainly, like, I think made everyone breathe a little easier that we were getting like kind of like an overcompensated design, and then the movie ended up kind of being, or was a hit. You know, I wouldn't say it was like the biggest hit in the world, but I mean, it was well received. It was a big hit, but I kind of figured it was like, okay, we're gonna get this, maybe a sequel, then it's probably gonna be dead.
Yeah,
you know.
I thought maybe we'd get a sequel, and then we'd get like the Pacific Rim Godzilla crossover. That never happened. So.
Yeah, and then Skull Island comes along, and I mean, I don't know. I mean, when Skull Island came along, I was like, okay, it was like, you know, there actually could be some legs to this now, because you got Skull Island and it being, you know, a really, really good movie. Again, it was a bigger hit than 2014 was.
Yep.
And but then it had the King of the Monsters like post scene teaser, and I was like, oh shit, like there could be like a real to do here, like a real like series could be built.
It surprised me that they did King of the Monsters before Godzilla vs. Kong. You would have thought that they would have done Godzilla vs. Kong next to capitalize on that, and then do King of the Monsters after, with like Godzilla and Kong versus the other ones. Have like Mothra sort of be like staying like, which way will she go?
Yeah. I mean, I wonder if there was like just like an uncertainty in the future. You know, like that's like, I wonder if like, because it does. You know, I think a lot of people do forget there was a lot of chatter about this merging into the Pacific Rim universe. Now, granted, didn't last for too long, but
it's probably for the best that it didn't.
Yeah, I think so. Too. I mean, I think now it would be like cool if like you had some sort of like one-off anime, or
that's what I mean. Like, because we got like Pacific Rim the Black out of that staying its own thing, and I like that.
Right. Yeah, it's like you would have to do like a weird like multiverse story or something to like have it make sense at this point. Pacific Rim's got its own established lore, and there's no really sensible way
at this point, if you're going to cross over the two, you might as well just reboot one of them.
There's no way to do it now with like their existing universes, and like you just said, like it's better that they're separate. But I do wonder if like they were kind of, I don't want to say making it up as they go, but like I think the acquiring of Kong came later, the rights to that, so then they were probably like, oh shit, well we got King of the Monsters like in production, but now we got this like ability now to have the two go. But I would say, would you say that I mean, I'm not going to pose it like some like trick question, but so the tone kind of shifts from 2014 and Skull Island, I think, with King of the Monsters.
I don't know if the tone for me wasn't the problem 2014. I think the 2014 the biggest problem was like the filmmakers just had like an agenda to like frustrate the audience. And
Go
I feel
with
like
the pullaways, yeah.
yeah, and they still kind of did it in 2019 too, but there was more action. Like they didn't necessarily like cut away entirely. They were more reserved with that. But then like GVK came out and it was just kind of like, no, we're giving you the like. They heard the complaints and they're like, fine, we'll just give you what you want. And it was like, and then the fandom found a whole new thing to complain about.
Well, I mean, everyone's gonna complain about.
Not me though. I have no complaints about GVK.
I think more what I meant was like, it's like it feels like at the beginning they didn't necessarily have the clearest idea of like what kind of movie series it was going to be. Like I feel like 2014 is like, it's very serious. Like it's and Skull Island is like also kind of serious. Then like you get to King of the Monsters and like, they're like, oh, this Ghidorah, he's coming here for a food or a fight or a lines, and it's like,
oh my god.
Yeah, like, I was like thinking about it. I was like the second they put Bryan Cranston in a body bag, they put any semblance of trying to have like some like deep, story-based character, like human-based characters, like in that body bag with them. They just said, fuck it, we're just camp here on out. And I think it's fine. That's fine with me.
I feel like that whole first movie was just sort of like they were trying to make it serious, and they had it was almost like they were guarded from like the ghosts of Godzilla '98, where it was too campy.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
And then once they did Skull Island, they kind of let their guard down a little bit more.
A little bit with what's his face, the Dewey Cox. The fuck's his name?
John C. Reilly.
Yeah, John C. Reilly. Thank you. So,
we call him skull crawler. No, he just sounded cool in my head.
Although I actually thought he was a pretty good measured character in that movie. It's like, he's like a little funny, but like, yeah, it was.
His jacket said "for your health," and I popped for that.
Yeah, I still don't think. I've always kind of said like, it's like they had Tom Hiddleston in that movie, and I was like, why? Like, you were like the least necessary character in this movie. Like, you're just here because like you're a younger, big name star. But like, really, this movie could have been carried by like Brie Larson, John Goodman and Samuel L. Jackson. But like, they're aging stars, and he like added nothing to that movie, and I like how he was just kind of forgotten after that. But
same thing with Ford.
Oh yeah, Brody Ford.
Yeah.
Well, I think they have like a reference to him in King of the Monsters. One of the boats is like the SS Brody or something like that, which is supposed to be named. But I mean, he's not in the movie. Yeah, I'm actually kind of surprised they've not brought him back. I feel like by this point, like if he's not in GXK, then I feel like he's probably just. I mean, I don't even know the guy's even done since the Monsterverse.
He was in the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Is he doing what?
He was his wife's brother, and he was Scarlet Witch's brother.
Oh, he's Quicksilver?
Yeah.
Oh.
I couldn't think of the name for some
reason. I don't know that.
Yeah, because I was thinking of X-Men had Quicksilver. So I was like, it's not Quicksilver. What was his name? I can't remember.
Well, there was like, the Sony Quicksilver. There's like the Disney. Yeah. Oh, okay. So he's the Sony Quicksilver? No. It should be the other way around.
He's the Marvel one because X-Men was on Sony, right?
X-Men was on Sony.
Yeah, so he was the other one.
But then the Scarlet, well, actually, no. You might get Disney Plus, so I don't want to spoil that for you.
I already know.
Oh, okay. So, yeah. But they brought the Sony one in to the Scarlet Witch TV show at Disney Plus.
Yeah.
Which, that was fun. So, actually, that's a good pivot. How does the Monsterverse compare, do you think, to the MCU, DCEU, and Star Wars, or maybe even the failed Dark Universe from Universal?
I think the Dark Universe could have been something, just because, like, the first movie didn't connect doesn't mean that, like, there isn't something with the Universal monsters, like Dracula, Frankenstein's monster, the Wolfman, the Invisible Man, the Mummy, etc. Like, they just because you made one movie that didn't connect doesn't mean that should go away. And I feel like that's sort of like the same thing with the Monsterverse, where the first movie was like well received, but like it's very different from all the other movies. Like they could have course corrected with future movies if they wanted to, but they just didn't want to. Universal, that is. So it's obviously better than the Dark Universe.
Yeah.
By default, really. I would say it's more fun than the DCEU, because that seems more to be about like the making of drama than the actual movies themselves at this point.
Yeah.
Like
and it's not a cohesive universe at all.
Yeah, with the Snyderverse and with James Billy Gunn taking over now, and The Rock and all that. So it's more about that stuff than it is about what happens on screen. I thought Batman vs Superman was like sort of like the most obvious like call your shot home run ever in filmmaking, and it wound up just being one of the most dog shit things you'd ever seen. It's like,
yeah,
it's like, oh, Batman and Superman's mom had the same name. They're friends now. Like,
yeah,
go fuck yourself. Like, I don't like it when movies are like made for like the lowest common denominator of the fandom. Like, make me think a little.
Yeah,
like that's what made me like the Sam Raimi movies so much. It was like it didn't really like cater to like any one audience. It just sort of did its own thing.
Yeah,
and like the DCU doesn't seem like it's interested in doing its own thing. Like the best DC movies are not part of the DCEU. So I'd say the Monsterverse is way better than the DCEU.
Yeah, I agree.
And as for the Marvel Cinematic Universe, they are what they are. They're not my type of movies. Like I've seen some of them, and you know.
Yeah, no, I'm also not. I'm not really big into the Marvel movies either. I like the Spider-Man ones because I like Spider-Man, but
I like the older Spider-Man ones, and I like the Venom movies, but like those aren't part of the.
They're like adjacent.
Yeah, like they're kind of swooped in now because of the end of Venom 2 and all that stuff.
Yeah,
but like same thing as DC. Like my favorite Marvel movies aren't part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Right. Yeah, that's kind of how I feel too. I mean, as a cinematic universe, which is basically, I mean, that's basically a term now because of the MCU.
Yeah.
Even though like the concept has existed forever, but like I guess it's like a movie making plotting strategy. But like, there's clearly like a plan there and a big roadmap there. I mean, obviously this roadmap, they got basically a roadmap for like the next like decade.
Yeah.
I feel like the Monsterverse like is not spread so thin as the MCU. And it seems like with GVK, there's a much more effort now, I feel like, to actually have like a roadmap now. Like it seems like, the Kong anime.
I think the only thing that would stand in their way where Marvel gets away with it is Marvel has the rights to all those characters, or Disney has the rights, whereas Toho could pull that at any time for any reason.
Oh, but they love money though.
They
do just love it.
But like it's right at the like it could go at any second.
It could, yeah, because like they wouldn't if like there's a downturn in popularity of the Monsterverse. I could see them saying like we don't want that to impact our Japanese films.
Yeah.
Like, we don't want any sort of negative, perception kind of flowing over to our stuff. I can see that.
And like with the end of GVK too, it's like, okay, so we don't get anything more. It's like that's the end of the Monsterverse right there. And it's like, no, we got to for a little bit longer too. So like I said, like you never know what you're gonna get. Like there's no roadmap, and I kind of feel like the most you could do is maybe like 2 or 3 projects ahead.
Yeah.
Whereas I feel like Marvel, like you said, could do 10 years.
Right. And there's I think it's confirmed that like I think there was some question of like whether Godzilla was going to continue in the Monsterverse after GVK. They must have probably, I'm going to guess that's like probably about as far as like the original contract went.
Yeah.
And then it sounds like there is, a new contract, presumably. So, I would assume it's maybe like at least another like 3-4 films or projects. So we got time. I feel like the Monsterverse is kind of going kind of like so there's like the Star Wars movie universe, and then there's like the Star Wars like Disney Plus TV show universe, and it's like the movie universe is like in tatters, but like the TV shows, like because again there's like Dave Filoni's kind of like the creative guy driving he drove the original MCU, like with in its early stages, and now here he is, like kind of doing the same thing with the TV shows. And I feel like the Monsterverse and Star Wars on Disney Plus are like kind of doing the same thing. It's like a methodical, everything is like really planned out step now. It seems like there's a much more of like a plan in place, or like very making sure everything is like synergized across the branch. There you go, brand synergy. I only mentioned that because I know you're not really too familiar with the Star Wars Disney Plus shows.
Yeah,
so.
I've never had Disney Plus, so but I've seen all the movies. Like I remember Clone Wars being on TV like 20 years ago.
Well, it got another season.
I mean, like the old cartoon.
No, it got another season.
It's still on.
Well, it stopped for a long time.
Oh, okay,
and then
like, it's been going on this whole time.
No, so it stopped for a long time, and they never got to do the final season.
Oh, okay.
But then they kind of like abandoned whatever the original final season plotline was going to be, and I think it was a year and a half ago, they did the true final season of Clone Wars, which is good because that's kind of like there's like an Ahsoka TV show coming out now, and it got to like really it was there's like 2 or 3 bad episodes like in the middle that they're not bad, they're just kind of filler episodes, but oh man, the last couple episodes of that Clone Wars final season are like awesome stuff. It's a lot of Darth Maul, a lot of Ahsoka.
Yeah,
it's very entertaining. Recommend checking it out.
Cool.
Well, I have a GVK question for you before we pivot to some of your topic questions. This just came while we were talking through this, because I thought Godzilla King of the Monsters was good enough hit. Not nearly, didn't make as much money as 2014 or Skull Island.
Which surprises me.
Yeah,
because it was funner.
It was, but I was just, how it is, like, it's sequels. It kind of feels like you get like sequel fatigue after a while.
I think, wasn't it going against it was going against a big movie. It was going against about like Avengers Part 3, I think.
Yeah, I mean, this is a Marvel movie like every day. So.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, it still did fine. Just not as well as the other two did. But I kind of was like, okay, here we go. Here's the turn. Things are starting to wane a little bit. And then GVK is set to come out. COVID hits, delays things. GVK becomes the, first movie really to like return to theaters. Becomes a huge hit.
Yep.
Do you think that would have happened if it came out before COVID? Do you think it would have been that big of a hit?
Jeez. Because like people were still going out at the beginning of March of 2020. So it really would have had to come out like end of February.
But I think it was originally slated for
like end of March, I think 2020.
I think it was like April, I think.
Yeah, so. I don't think so. I think it would have been dead in the water.
Yeah, well,
I think that's when Tenet came out too.
No, I mean, like, what if it came out, let's say it did come out January, February. It just doesn't come out during COVID.
So if it came out before, I don't know if it would have as much cultural impact just because, life was still normal at that point.
Yeah.
It's the winter. It could have done well just because there's not much else to do, so why not go see the new Godzilla movie? But I don't think it would have had as much impact because it was on HBO Max. So, you just stay home and watch it, and millions of people did that. And so
we did it at 3 in the morning.
Second I could. So yeah, I think this was bigger.
That's the earliest I've ever started drinking in my life, because I'm counting that as the start of a new day. And I made it at 3 a.m. I had a Bloody Mary in my hand.
Not me. I think I just had a gummy and away we went.
No, I made it an experience for myself.
I tried to watch it again, but then I fell asleep. But yeah, like I think this was one of the it was almost like kind of like the big thing after Tiger King. Because Tiger King was the big thing in March, and then in April you got GVK, and this is sort of like that big thing, and then I think you got like the Batman shortly after that or something like that. Maybe before or after, I don't remember, but so I think it benefited from the pandemic just because so many people were just stuck at home,
Yeah.
not much to do. So probably more people watched a Godzilla movie that was on HBO Max than would have if they had things to do.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, this is like everybody I knew, I feel like, in my life, like, watched GVK. Like, people that I would never expect to watch Godzilla vs. Kong were just like, oh yeah, well, like, I mean, this is like the first big Hollywood movie that is coming out now.
Yeah.
Like, because everything has been delayed and delayed and delayed. And this is the first one that's like, you know, it kind of came out unopposed. People were ready to go back to theaters, or like,
It was the Mortal Kombat movie that came out after this one, not
oh yeah,
Batman.
Yeah,
So-
and that certainly, I mean, that Mortal Kombat movie certainly rode a. Well, that was just HBO Max, right? That wasn't
yeah,
on,
same thing as Godzilla.
Yeah, but that certainly rode a wave of popularity where people just like, oh shit, like stuff is coming out again.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think that if it had just come out, like if there was no COVID and just came out when it came out, you know, I think I wouldn't have been surprised if it did about the same as King of the Monsters did, money wise. I figured it would get like a little bump from, you know, you have Godzilla and Kong. I figured it would have got a little bump, but I feel like they would have probably said, okay, you know what, that's probably the end here. I feel like, you know, the interest would have kept going, and now it getting delayed, it being that huge hit, both in theaters and on HBO Max. Like, I mean, I don't know if they ever said what they paid, but it's like, sounds like they paid a crazy amount of money to Legendary to get that. And I love that. I thought that was an awesome idea, because I actually kind of hate going to the movies. I think it's a pain in the ass, but so I always want shit to be on
mostly
HBO
like
Max.
it if there's no like rodents crawling around.
I mean, it's fine, you know, but I certainly enjoy being in the comfort of my own home. And but anyway, yeah, so I think that gave tons of new life to the Monsterverse.
Yeah.
And do you feel like, maybe this is just me, but I feel like once a series gets past like a hump of like 2 or 3 movies, if it can get past that, then I feel like the public just embraces it and just goes, yes, we will take 11 Fast and the Furious movies. We will take 10 Transformers movies.
Okay. So that's one way to look at it. The other way to look at it is you go to the horror route, and you could be like a Friday the 13th or a Nightmare on Elm Street and sort of like keep on churning these things out because they're money makers, and that you get your fans, and as long as you deliver, then everything's good. Or you could go like the Hellraiser route, which is like sort of like, some of these aren't as good as the others.
Sure, yeah.
Like, so it can get kind of worrisome when you start doing that. I haven't seen most of the Fast and the Furious movies. I probably haven't seen like 3 through like
I haven't either.
7, I want to say.
Or whatever they're up to. I think they're at over 10 now.
Yeah, I saw like one of them recently. It was like The Rock and Jason Statham. It wasn't the Hobbs. It was like a Fast and the Furious movie. They were both in it though.
Okay, yeah. They just churn though. I mean, you know what? They're so ridiculous and they make people happy. So good.
No, yeah, it's just not my thing. So whatever.
Yeah.
So, but you could keep on churning those things out, and they could be like big pop culture things like Star Wars, or like I said, they could be like Hellraiser, and like you don't even know when like half of these movies came out.
Isn't like, I mean, I'm not outside like the first Hellraiser movie. Like, I'm not really familiar with the rest of the franchise. Aren't they like kind of not really? Maybe not connected is not the right word, but aren't they like kind of like narratively very different from each other? Like, doesn't Pinhead go from like anti-hero to villain to like anti-hero to, it's like, it's just, isn't it like just not really cohesive from movie to movie?
So like the first movie is definitely like a villain, like, but there are other human villains too.
Yeah.
So like he sort of is like the villain of the human villains too, but just because, you know, the enemy of your enemy is not your friend.
Yeah.
Type of thing. The second movie, he definitely turns like Godzilla babyface.
Okay. Yeah.
But then the third movie, straight up GMK. Or he's GMK in the third movie.
Okay. How many are there? There's like tons.
There's
right?
like over 10.
Okay. Yeah.
They stopped naming them for like I think after 3 they're just like,
well, they went the
Bloodlines
WrestleMania route.
and Deader and
Bloodline, Judgment Day,
Payback.
Ryback.
One of the movies is called Deader.
Deader.
like dead. Yeah.
Oh boy. Okay.
uh, so I don't necessarily think like getting like 8 movies deep is necessarily a good thing. Like Godzilla Takes Manhattan could always be one of those things.
Flip side. I mean, we are talking about a franchise that had prior to coming to the US had 20 some odd movies already. I mean,
yeah, no, but that's Japan, that's Toho, like that's through 2 different generations almost. This is more like what do we do with that stuff?
Right.
And I don't always have the most faith in us.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I guess Legendary has kind of proven to be a pretty reliable studio. I mean, so far, I think they've figured out I think they figured out the Monsterverse's identity.
Yeah.
And I think that's good. But what were some of the topics that you had?
So I wanted to. We kind of already brushed on one, which was the Pacific Rim crossover, which unfortunately didn't happen, and like how Pacific Rim sort of like almost like jump started the Monsterverse, so to speak. Like it was its own like there were 2 movies.
It warmed the oven,
right? Exactly.
Primed the pump.
Exactly. And because of Pacific Rim, we got the Monsterverse. I feel like so we owe everything to Guillermo del Toro.
Yeah, I mean,
Papa McPoyle.
There is no guarantee that there's another movie past Godzilla 2014, and I think they were the perfect opening act for the headliner.
But the other,
it was Megadeth opening for Metallica.
I would say Megadeth opened for Black Sabbath, but
okay.
That way the opener doesn't outdo the
sure.
Yeah. Anyway, that's just some personal editorializing on my part.
I understand.
But the other thing that the topic I thought of was how because of the Monsterverse, and because it's such it's so successful and popular that Toho didn't just sit idly by and just like let their mousetrap just rake them money without them doing a thing. They're like, we could make even more money if we do a thing too. So like, not only did we get like the anime, like the Kong anime, but we got like Toho's animated movies. We got Singular Point. We got, I don't know if Shin Godzilla was necessarily a result of 2014. Mostly because like, I feel like the Millennium series relaunched because of 98. Whereas
in response, in negative response to,
I don't think 2014 needed the response that 98 needed. So I don't think Shin Godzilla was necessarily like a response to 2014. I think it was more along the lines of like, hey, 2014 did something right, so maybe there's something to this.
Yeah, brand awareness was back.
Yeah, so I think it was like a completely different reason why they wanted to relaunch it was just to, because like they're like, okay, the Legendary movie was good, we could do something good too, and it turned out to be like one of the best Godzilla movies too.
Yeah, it's kind of like a few episodes back when I went to Japan this past year. It's like I was saying, it was like the first time I went to Japan was like 2015, and like Godzilla was like nowhere to be found.
Yeah,
like the Godzilla Hotel was there, which was cool, but I mean, like other than that, like it was kind of hard to like find Godzilla related stuff while I was in Japan. Whereas opposed to this trip, it was like I could throw a rock and find something with Godzilla on it.
Yeah,
it's such a totally different presence, like in just like casual walking around like Tokyo and Osaka and Kyoto and stuff like that. It was like a whole different experience on that front. I think, and so like I guess to kind of recap too, like I don't remember where it lapses, but like the original deal with Legendary was that Toho couldn't do a live action film while Legendary is making live action films. So, and then like there's like a little window of opportunity where that gets renegotiated, and Toho's like, sick, we're gonna make a bunch of money now, we're gonna make our own movie and have it run side by side. And but I mean that's why the anime trilogy came first, because that was like in the you can't do live action, so that's how you get your first Godzilla animes, and which were like moderate. I mean, like they weren't successes, they weren't failures, they existed financially, like in terms of the money they made. Singular Point was a big hit, and then obviously Shin Godzilla was like the thing in Japan, and in my opinion, one of like the probably top 3-4 best Godzilla movies ever made. And then I think like that surprise hit of like Shin Godzilla becomes a worldwide hit as well. And you have that kind of coinciding with now like a very active Monsterverse, and like what like a 1-2 punch for Godzilla's popularity, right? Like, and I think Shin Godzilla kind of lining up timing wise in the middle of the Monsterverse, that's like the best thing that's ever happened to Godzilla as a character or fandom or whatever. So, and now we're gonna get -1 in a few months,
right?
And I don't know.
And I like how Japan's doing it, where Godzilla's more of the villain and he's the hero and the legendary thing too. So you're getting both sides of how Godzilla's been portrayed.
Yeah, we have talked a lot about this, but I'll just kind of repeat this point that I've said a bunch of times. Like, we've gotten so many different takes on Godzilla over the last decade. Is that like, if there's one Godzilla you don't like, there's probably another one that has come out in the last 10 years that you will like. You get like, the Showa superhero campiness of like the legendary verse. You get like, if you enjoy existential dread movies, you got the anime trilogy. You get Singular Point, which is just its own weird thing, and you got Shin Godzilla, which is just a fantastic, like, Godzilla's not hero, not villain. He's back to like weird force of nature. Fortunately, I love them all, so it's been a great time for me. But like, if you have one that you don't like, there's probably another one that's come out in the last 10 years, and probably one that's going to come out in the next 10 years that you're going to enjoy. So it's Godzilla for everybody right now.
I'm looking forward to -1, but like I said, I don't know if all that necessarily happens the way it happened, because I feel like Toho probably would have eventually relaunched Godzilla, but I feel like sort of the hand was forced, just because Legendary was like, we want to do this, and once they saw 2014, they were like, okay, Godzilla's kind of back.
Yeah, can't leave that money on the table. And
for all the crap I give 2014, like, it did sort of do a lot of good. It did more good than bad.
Yes. I don't hate 2014.
I don't hate it either. I just think it's dull.
I think it's just. I remember like, even
it's like Kozlov versus Triple H.
And like, even like when it first came out, I was happy with it, but I was I was just kind of like neutral on it. I kind of feel like when I got away from it, I was just like, and I was like, well, that was cool. Shin Godzilla was like, oh, okay, my Godzilla's back. But I feel like I've much more embraced the Monsterverse as it went on and settled into its kind of like Showa style type movies. That was like, yes, you found your identity. This is great. Keep doing this. I want this from you. I want Toho to do their things, and I want you to do your thing. You both are good. The things you do well, you're both really good at doing them.
Yes,
keep doing it.
Yes.
So,
and I feel like bringing back Adam Wingard to do another movie too is sort of like affirmation that like GVK was what the studio wanted. Yeah.
I liked it when someone was like, oh, because I think like with everything they filmed, I think it would like GVK could have been like a 4-hour movie or something.
And even Adam Wingard came out and was just like, nah.
That was what I was getting to. Was like, where like people are like, oh, release the Wingard cut. And like
the Wingard cut's like, you already got it.
Yeah, and he's like, you did. It's the one that's in theaters right now.
It's fine as is. Like, obviously we can nitpick about like Sarazawa and how that was done, but like overall, I'm cool with it moving forward. As is.
Yeah, and I think I think what maybe like a lot of, I mean, if you don't like how GVK is edited, like, I mean, that's fine. I totally understand it. But like, GVK was meant to be like a new launching on point for people. And I think when you can tell the movie was edited in such a way to like make it accessible to everybody, make it not feel like they were, kind of lost with like, without all the backstory. Yeah. And I think it succeeds in that. Yes, I think something should have been left in, but just like a little bit more of the Sarazawa stuff. I mean, that's other than that, like, I don't know how that movie works because it's not 4 hours. That movie works because it's like like an hour and 40 minutes or whatever it is. Like
Yeah.
that's it succeeds.
And it cuts a pace too. It's like nonstop. Like Godzilla attacks within the first 10 minutes, and then fucking it's a Kong movie.
Yes. Yeah, I think we talked about that a lot when we reviewed it like that day. Like, is this more of a Godzilla movie or more a Kong movie? But Kong's a better, like, I don't know. Kong can more easily kind of.
I would say Godzilla would win Best Supporting Actor, and Kong would win Best Actor.
Yeah.
If I were writing up, it's a Kong movie, and Godzilla is supporting cast.
And it's totally fine. It's Kong.
Kong is Snake, and Godzilla is Raiden.
Yeah, that's maybe like GXK will be. No, I bet GXK is going to be very Kong focused as well.
Yeah,
I think it's going to be very Hollow Earth. Kong's going to need to call his new BFF.
Yeah,
get some help down there.
Down where?
You know where.
R.I.P.
Do you have another topic?
Did I?
I don't know. That wasn't a setup. I legitimately don't remember.
I think those are my only two. I'm double checking just to be sure. It's BDF. We're looking at our phones.
Well, yeah. Well, while you look that, I can. We should probably discuss the toy line a little bit because we are figure collectors to our toy lines.
Yeah, so those were my only.
Okay, yeah. Well, well, let's go over the toy line. Well, let's go over the merch, the toy lines, the comics. I have very little to say about the comics, but I think most of them have kind of been.
And we just talked about Skull Island's anime, like 3 episodes ago or something like that.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. But I think the comics have kind of been kind of trash. When I say comics, I mean specifically the Monsterverse related ones.
I haven't seen any of them. So.
Yeah, I have a few. I've read them. They just kind of feel they are. They like tie in kind of cash grab type things. Like a lot of it, like from like an art standpoint, like looks like it's like there's like an Aliens comic in Marvel that came out recently that kind of got in trouble for this, and it's like where basically a lot of the art is like them actually just like tracing like very articulated figures in like different poses, and like I can't confirm that's what's gone on in some of these Godzilla comics that are tie-in ones that have come out. But like I just remember looking at some of this art going like what has happened to comic book art? Like it looks like someone was like tracing like a figure. Just I don't know. It just boggles my mind. And then it's like, the anime I think is a much better vehicle for expanding the universe, but I don't know. That's what I get to say on the comics. Let's talk about the toys.
Okay.
Your thoughts on the Jax toy line?
So my experience with the Jax toy line came in at 2019. I was not a toy collector before that. Hard to believe.
No, actually.
Because you look around. And
you always had the wrestling figures, just not the Godzilla stuff.
I had LJNs, but I didn't have wrestling figures I do now.
Okay.
Like my wrestling figure collection now just ballooned out of control. I was like, I'll get 25 and 225 later. Here I am.
Yeah.
But I came in for the King of the Monsters line, and so the first thing I got was a 12-inch vertical, 24-inch long Godzilla. And I was like, it's like...
Not even the tallest figure in that line.
No, because you had the even bigger one. And I was like, well, I have no place to put this. Like, this is big enough for me. Like, this is as big as I would ever want anything. So I got that one, and I was like, this is really good looking. It's got, like, the big holes on one side, but, like...
the screw holes, yeah.
Other than that, it's like a solid figure. But then, you go into the Ghidorah figure, and it's just kind of like, I finally got a King Ghidorah figure, and it's sort of like flops in the ground. Pose him very well. Like, mine isn't painted. Like the mouth and like the chest. The chest is supposed to have like silver lines, and the mouth.
But that was a running change.
Yeah.
So
I have in box the painted one, but I have loose the unpainted one.
Okay, yeah, I have both as well. The only problem with all right, so I guess I'll just recap really quick. Like, there was a pretty decent toy line for 2014.
And I missed it completely.
Yeah, actually, I kind of regret not buying as much stuff as I did. I don't know why I didn't. I feel like it just wasn't it wasn't like a Target, you know what I mean? Like, or at least around us, like I didn't see it out and about all that much, and so but like you got a whole.
Think of how different your life would be if Toys R Us had just hung on a couple more years.
Yeah, because I think the Toys R Us that was by my house was dying at the time that it came out. Because like I have the giant 3-foot tall Godzilla, or not 2-foot tall, but like 3 feet long or whatever it is. Like I got that at Toys R Us. Like first, when it was fully priced, it was $30.
Right.
But like it was part of like the Toys R Us's dying sale, and I think I got it for like $10.
Exactly. That's how I got like one of my wrestling belts. I got it for like $70.
But like they didn't really have like a lot of, they just didn't get like a full suite of the toy line that was out. Like there's like some box sets of like Godzilla and a Muto and a bridge set that like go for like a lot of money because like it's just hard to find them. I only have like I really wish I had more stuff from that era. But like I got a few things, but like there was a bunch of different Godzillas with different like, I got like the power tail swipe one. There was another one that kind of like roars and does like a whatever. So it was all cool. I think the King of the Monsters line I think is the bulk of the Jax line.
Yeah, because like you got like the minifigures too, which were fine, but like I feel like the prize of the King of the Monsters was Rodan.
Oh yeah, like so that's actually my one knock on the Jax line. You made great molds. You like that taller Godzilla figure, that foot tall one, or whatever it is. Great looking figure. Ghidorah, Rodan, great looking figures. However, they're not in scale. And then you just get a King Ghidorah and Rodan that are not in scale with each other. And then the only way to get the entire King of the Monsters set up in scale with each other are those minifigures, which are really cool. I do like all those. But like Ghidorah is like too small comparatively in that line.
That was the only one I couldn't find, I think, was Ghidorah. I found like Rodan's minifigure and Mothra's mini one, but not.
Oh, really?
Ghidorah's, yeah.
Oh.
I'm not crying about it. I don't care.
Oh. I might have an extra one. I don't know. But I was like, why can we not why cannot we just have like one full complete set of all the characters in one scale?
Right.
Well, I guess we do with the minifigures, but
like the main figures, why not release another Godzilla?
Right. There's no Godzilla that scales with that Rodan and King Ghidorah. Now, granted, those are awesome Rodan and King Ghidorah figures.
There was no Mothra figure.
There's no Mothra either. Yeah. No, there was just the minifig.
That makes no sense.
Just the mini Mothra.
Yeah.
But the flip side, though, like you just said, they're all great looking figures, and they were like those play sets were like $9.
Yeah.
Oh my god, they're like dirt cheap.
I remember I found the Mothra and the Rodan mini ones when they were like on clearance, and they were like $5 a piece.
Yeah. Oh yeah. There was like I remember like
and I think the Ghidorah one I found was like $6 or $7 too. So I think I spent like $15 and got like a ton of those toys when they're on clearance.
Yeah. I bought a bunch of them for like a Christmas or holiday toy drive that like my office was doing, and like they just happened to be like on sale. When they were like on sale, they were like $4 a piece for a set. So I bought a bunch of like there was like a holiday sale, and like so I just bought a bunch of those play sets, and because I like to give the gift to Godzilla for holiday toy drives. So like they were like perfect for that year. But overall, what else? Oh, Jax also gave us. No, take that back. Did Jax do the Skull Island line, or was that Playmates? I don't remember. The Skull Island line, like totally passed by me. I like totally whiffed on that.
Yeah. Again, this was right before I started collecting figures.
Monster Island Buddies did a really cool video on the Skull Island toy line, and the Kong figures that came out that line are cool. There's like one giant size Kong figure that actually almost kind of scales well with the 2-foot tall Godzilla, but like the rest of it is like kind of like repaints and of different properties mixed in, like under like Skull Island branding. But then we got we'll skip the initial Playmates figures that were not related to GVK, but then we get the GVK Playmates line. Your thoughts?
The Playmates line, I think it was really cool. I will defend the Hong Kong Lights Godzilla as probably the coolest of the line.
No, I think I would agree with you.
You have the cocaine figures. You have
the cocaine covered Kong is the best.
You get the 2014 poster figure. You get the playset. You get the Roar figures. You get the cool ass Transformer figures. I think they hit a home run with the GVK line.
Yes, I think it was certainly part of the Playmates redemption arc from the non-GVK line. Now, granted, we have gotten like a million repaints of the same Godzilla and Kong molds.
And you didn't get the a lot of the side characters. Like the Skullcrawler was hard to find. I got one, but they were harder to find.
Oh, the Warbat was really hard to find.
The Warbat, I was going to say, I don't have that because I couldn't find it anywhere.
I still don't. I still don't have a Warbat.
Yeah,
because I never found it around here, and it's coming down in price now, like on like eBay and Mercari and stuff.
That's actually I think what's the one negative is that like for whatever reason like resellers like globbed onto the GVK line.
Yeah, which is weird because they're like $9 figures.
Exactly, and they're like, we'll sell these for $35.
Yeah, it's like
not to me, you won't.
It's just not really like the price point like that scalpers like go after. It just seemed like a weird, like I get that like everything gets scalped, but it just like I was like, these are gonna get scalped. I was like,
it's like they're trying to like project.
Yeah,
like, they're almost like prospectors.
Yeah,
like in that sense, like they bought them without knowing if they would like be able to do it or not.
Yeah. Also, just I feel like the GVK line, I feel like it was just so much more readily available outside of Warbat, like we were just kind of saying, but like then so many other toy lines that I was like,
it's such a weird thing to do with toy lines, like I see people do it with wrestling figures, but for the most part, those people are sort of like mocked out of the hobby at this point.
Yeah,
like
unless you're Super Gabby.
Well, there was one figure in particular. It was a Vader figure I have on my wall. Someone like found it in stores, and it was like the new figure. Like it's a Target exclusive Legends figure, and someone was like $100. It's a $20 figure. Like $100. I know what I have. And I'm just looking at it like,
what I have.
Yeah, and I'm just looking at it like, dude, I went down to Target like after seeing the post and saw it, and I was just like, no. So like those people are more or less like laughed out of the hobby at this point. Yeah. Because they're readily available in Target stores, and like you sell 5 of those things, they'll restock 5 of them. They got 5 more in the back, no problem.
Little PSA out there: if you are trying to sell something and you utter the phrase "I know what I have," you can just instantly assume that anybody who knows anything about figure collecting is going to instantly just ignore you after that phrase comes out of your mouth, or you have typed that.
But if
online.
It's sort of like it's being like a non-vampire going into a vampire bar, just being like, "Hey, everyone," you know what I mean? Like everyone's gonna look at you, just be like,
"It's just it." Yeah. It's like there's also like I always like see like kind of like funny videos like online of, like usually from like the perspective of like people like who work like maybe like independent like video game stores, and someone comes in with like a copy of like the first Halo, like a Madden that's like 8 years like out of date, and going like, I know what I have, I know what these go for type thing. I always enjoy those. It's kind of like the same sort of idea. It's like, yeah, you're gonna get 25 cents for both of those.
I mean, like you could trade in your Game of the Year Halo Combat Evolved for like, $5,
Yeah,
you'd be
maybe
robbing
even
them
3.
You'd be robbing them blind if they gave you $5 of store credit.
I know, yeah. I always go with store credit. I always go with that, but it's a better deal. I did that when I found all these like childhood toys like that has had my parents just always have like held on to like my childhood toys, and but like there's a bunch of stuff I just don't have any interest in collecting or whatever. And like years ago, I used to go through like the process of like selling them on eBay, because also like my wife did not like how much space they really take up in the basement, and to her credit, like they were taking up tons of space. My like all these boxes are taking up tons of space. And once I started doing like the eBay thing, it was like I got better money for it, but it was also such a pain in the ass that like when I when I found like the Ghostbusters toys I had from like the 80s, I was like, I'm not going through the whole like eBay process again. I went to like a store around here that I knew had a couple good little things I didn't have, and I was just like, can I just trade these in for that? And they were just like, yeah, sure. And I was like, great, that was fantastic. Like that's set your expectations. But the hell would you say about Playmates?
But I think maybe the reason why people were scalping these toys as much as they were, especially the first Mechagodzilla figure, that was sort of the big scalper toy, was the success of the movie benefiting from the pandemic, where it was sort of like the only big property out that month.
Yeah.
And it was like the next month that it was Mortal Kombat. But I feel like that's may have played a role into why these figures were so sought after, was because so many people saw it. And I remember going to stores and like seeing like parents and like kids like playing with the toys.
Yep.
And like, I want this one. Like,
Yeah.
And then there was also the infamous like, oh, I have that playset. That guy. That was my favorite.
I think what also led to the scalping was that for the longest time they were Walmart exclusives. And
Yeah.
I mean, the Jax line was Walmart exclusive.
Yep.
Or the King of the Monsters part was Walmart exclusive.
Yep.
But yeah, a lot of the Playmates figures were Walmart exclusives, and you know, you would think that you got a Walmart in every street corner, like not in every part of the country. I mean, like we're in New England, and like while we do have plenty of Walmarts, like they're not as plentiful as Targets. You know, like
Where we are, there's a lot more Targets than Walmart.
yeah, and you know, I think I don't think we're unique in that sense. So like, yeah, it's like, you know, like if I wanted to go to hit like a couple Walmarts, like try to find Mechagodzilla or something like that, like that's actually like a lot of time commitment.
Yes.
On my end.
Exactly. Whereas you could go to Target, and this is kind of what played into me getting into collecting, was Target had the NECA figures.
Yeah.
And so, 2 Mothras, a Rodan, no Ghidorah for whatever reason.
I think they just said that Ghidorah would have cost straight up like way too much to make.
Yeah.
And so they were just like, well, we're not gonna be able to keep our price point if we make a Ghidorah.
But then you get like 4 legendary Godzillas out of that, and they're all good looking.
Yep.
So, I mean, even without Playmates, I mean, Playmates did kind of kill NECA's license, I feel like. Something happened with that license with NECA. I don't know what it was, but
They got all. Plus, they stole one of the molds for or half the mold
right,
for
right.
Shin Godzilla.
But like those were sort of like my figures at the time. I was like, I'm into these. Like, I love the boxes, I love the figures. Like, these are the best.
Yeah, if we ever rank toy lines, like at least like over like the past decade, like I mean that's the top one. With not even close. To me, that's the top. Was the top toy line of the past 10 years.
Most bang for your buck.
Oh, it's great.
It's like you could get better figures, sure, but for how much I paid for these, like I would not even have half the amount of NECA figures I have if I got them from.
I would say for the duration of their toy line, I don't think you actually could get better figures.
Yeah,
not counting statues, but better figures. Sort of shit we're from SH Monster Rats, in my opinion. So
you're not going to see me argue that.
But yeah, I mean, you know, the Playmates line looks like it's here to stay, but clearly no classic line anymore. But you know, we got like roaring figures. Everything's like in a weird, you know, it's like how we always make fun of the walking pose. There's like the Godzilla that's like roaring, but his like head's like kind of tilted not straight up like it is in the King of the Monsters poster. Yeah, it's at a weird angle, and I'm like, what are you doing with this? And then there's like the version without sound where it's also tilted, but he's also kind of like looking off to the side at the same time. Like, Playmates make some like weird decisions sometimes, but they're here to stay.
Speaking of weird decisions, where do you think the Monsterverse is headed?
That is a very similar to my topic, final topic. So I think I wouldn't be surprised if it kind of goes the Fast and the Furious route, where it's like we're just gonna get a Godzilla and Kong movie like every couple of years, which is totally fine with me. Like, I mean, obviously, I hope that Godzilla X Kong and Kong will be a big hit. It seems like, you know, Godzilla and Kong are both hotter than they've ever been. So I wouldn't be surprised if we just get a whole series of Godzilla and Kong movies after this. I do have a follow-up to that, but I'd like to hear you go first.
I think Godzilla and Kong like are the way to go for the Monsterverse. Like, I'm not against them doing standalone movies like a Ronin.
This is actually my topic. Yeah.
I'm not against that or making like new monsters for them to go against in individual movies. Like, eventually though, I feel like there's going to be like a big bad, like something like enormous, like way bigger than Godzilla, and eventually like you're gonna have to like bring Ghidorah and Rodan. You have to bring every monster.
It's gonna be their own. I was gonna say their own Avengers, but their own Destroy All monsters.
It's like so I was exactly gonna say it's sort of like their big like Avengers, like the final movie where they all come in and have to fight this like one big, like enormous. You know what? Screw it. Do the Sphinx or whatever.
From the unmade movie that we were talking about. Oh my god!
Make that like twice as big as Godzilla, so he has to like team up, and you just get this big battle royal at the end where all the monsters are destroyed, and King Ghidorah gets to like really wreak havoc on it because he got his ass beat in the original Destroy All Monsters, so he's sort of like the overpowering, like puts him over the top and like really does the most damage type of thing.
There's in the Ultraman series, like there is a big bad that his entire body is comprised of all the other bodies of every like kaiju that's like ever been like in the Ultraman series, and he's like huge, like just ginormous, and they could do something ridiculous like that. Do you think? Well, I guess two-parter. Well, first part. Do you think if they did start doing standalone stuff and branching out, like I feel like with like the MCU or like I think a big thing is like they spread themselves too thin now.
Yeah.
Like, and do you think is there a way to balance that? Where it's like you can branch out a little bit, but like, maybe don't overstay your welcome a little bit.
Not with movies, I don't think. I think you need to do that on like an episodic show. Like every monster gets their own episode type of thing.
Yeah.
Like there's a Rodan hour-long episode. There's a Mothra hour-long episode. There's a Ghidorah hour-long episode. There's a Behemoth hour-long episode. You do it sort of like a Monster of the Week thing.
That's what I'm expecting the Apple Plus show to be. I know they said Godzilla's in it like throughout the series.
Yeah.
But like, I feel like it's gonna be like focusing more on the other.
Yeah.
That's my expectations.
I think with the oversaturation thing, I think Star Wars really set the bar on how much you could saturate a fandom with content.
Yeah.
And I think that's sort of like, okay, we hit them with too much on the movie side. Once every couple years for a movie, and then like once, twice a year for TV shows, and we're probably good.
Yeah.
Like that's probably enough to keep it in the forefront of pop culture, but we're not like giving them too much and because like I didn't even have the TV shows, and I got sick of Star Wars movies too.
Yeah, I mean they were going to do even like more movies, and they scrapped a ton of them.
Yeah.
I'm glad they scrapped Obi-Wan as a movie because as a TV show it was awesome. But like even like some of the TV shows they announced they scrapped and just said like we're gonna scale it back.
Yeah. So that's why I think like maybe you don't do full movies on like single characters. You do a full episode or something like that.
Yeah.
And then you can always do like you do another season. You could do the same thing if the formula works.
Mm-hmm. And I guess my second part of that was how you're just kind of talking like a big bad and stuff like that. I mean, would you prefer to see them go more heavy with original characters or more heavy with bringing in Toho characters or something in the middle?
I think a big bad like would have to be like some form of a Toho monster, like a Destroyer or a Biollante or something. What's the big one from the video game?
Bagan. Bagan.
Bagan, yeah. Maybe you do. Maybe he's like. I think that would be.
That's where
cool.
He gets his Gojuban doesn't count. That's where Bagan finally gets his shine. He gets it in Hollywood. Yeah. That'd be wild, actually.
But I'm definitely for, and I've said this from the beginning. Like, give me like more Mutos. Give me more.
Yeah.
Like weird ass monsters.
I think all the original creations have been pretty good.
Yes.
So
like, I don't know if you got any home runs in there, but you get a lot of singles and doubles.
Yeah,
That's how you win ball games.
Yeah, I feel like more could be done with the Mutos. Like I think there's, I know they did like a Muto Prime comic, but like whatever. But like, I feel like the Mutos are like the Monsterverse is Gigan. Like they're kind of like the stand-in for Gigan. I feel like, you can do more with them. I mean, I think the Skullcrawl is really cool, but I kind of feel like they've kind of lost all their heat after GVK. So after like Mechagodzilla, just granted it's an adolescent one, not a huge one, but having like Mechagodzilla just like dust a Skullcrawler in like 2 seconds, I was like, well, you just kind of that's Skullcrawler got treated like Yokozuna when he was told to lose some weight. He's doing the jobs in the pre-show to like in your houses.
Woof.
Remember that reference?
I do.
Falls off the turnbuckle, gets rolled up. I was like, this is a guy that was world champ like a year ago. Now he's like doing jobs in a in your house pre-show. Just no respect. And that's how the Skullcrawlers got treated. So
just like it.
So I think I would like to see more I feel like the Monsterverse could create more of its own identity if it does have more original characters.
Yeah. And that's why I said like the big bad, like the main, like we have like a giant chimp for the bad guy in the next movie.
Yeah.
That's a new original concept. Cool. Like I'm all for that. But I'm thinking like if you're going to like make like sort of like a big statement on a big like destroy all monsters type of movie, I think you should bring a Toho thing back for that.
Yeah.
Or maybe like I said, you just have Ghidorah, like maybe it's Kaiser Ghidorah or Des Ghidorah or something like that, and maybe he shows up instead of King Ghidorah or whatever.
Yeah, everyone keeps clamoring for Destroya to come over to the Monsterverse. I don't know. I mean, whatever. I mean, anything can work if you have a good enough story around it. But I feel like I always kind of feel like Ghidorah should have been saved a little bit more. I mean, there's like there's no way to bring that Ghidorah. I guess you could always introduce another Ghidorah like from space or something. That's what I mean.
Like you have Gigan and Ghidorah fly in.
Yeah, I feel like if they could kind of go back to the drawing board, maybe they wouldn't have King Ghidorah so really emphatically killed off at the end of King of the Monsters. Like nothing's left of him besides that head that then ends up in Mechagodzilla. But I guess if you count Mechagodzilla as also being part Ghidorah, then it kind of becomes like, okay, is Ghidorah going to be in every movie? But
or maybe Gigan flies down, finds the head, and like has Ghidorah regenerated or something like that.
Yeah,
like Gigan and Ghidorah are sort of like from the same hell planet.
Yeah, I think Ghidorah was pretty effectively, like when you go back and watch like King of the Monsters, like I mean, he outside of like he pretty much kicks like Godzilla's ass like throughout the entire movie until the Mothra boost comes along.
He's a classic bad guy wrestling heel. He takes a powder in Antarctica. He gets the win by interference in Mexico.
I still think that should have been a clean win. I still think because I think that would have really established him as like, oh, he's really a huge threat.
Yeah, but it was the oxygen destroyer that did it, and then Mothra comes in and sacrifices herself for Godzilla to get the big win at the end.
Yeah, I mean, he basically had Godzilla like just totally dominated.
Yeah.
Until that point of the fight. So, which hasn't like really even like the Mechagodzilla fight. I don't think was. Yeah, like I don't even think he took as much of a beatdown. I mean, he was on pace to take that much of a beatdown.
I mean, he was about to die.
Yeah, but he just came off a big fight with Kong. And this was like he went in 100% against
Godzilla was cashing in money in the bank.
Yes, yeah. Ghidorah, when he fights Ghidorah, it's like straight up, and he's just like smashing him around.
Yeah.
And yes, that was a good way to put it. He cashed in money in the bank, but then he got the save.
Like he had Godzilla's jaw, like he was about to to kiss him.
It was money in the bank. So yeah, it's like the kiss of death finisher is like probably one of the most iconic things that's come out of the Monsterverse now.
Yeah.
So that was a nice little callback to that. I was like, oh shit.
Yeah.
How does Ghidorah even know that? Was Ghidorah always just watching?
Maybe it was like the data was implanted.
Maybe he got like ripped it from like Sarazawa's brain.
Yeah. But yeah, so don't know. You got anything more you want to wax poetic on this?
No, Doug better be in the TV show. They have missed. I am shocked they have not cashed in on Doug being like a viral internet thing. And if he's not in the TV show, I'm going to be shocked. I feel like that's easy money right there. Not saying you're going to make like a TV show or a movie around him, but like
prediction for GXK, Ex Machina Doug.
He's going to get
giant
killed.
Doug comes in and just squashes whatever bad guy at the very end and just helps them win.
And that's the end of the movie.
That's the end of the movie. Is Doug comes in and Ex Machina is.
I would laugh. I would totally be on board with that happening.
You heard it here first.
I'm shocked there has not been a figure.
Yeah.
I am shocked that
we should start our own figure company and just make Doug figures.
I've looked into that. It's not cheap. But you better be in that TV show.
We'll just glue the pieces together. It'll be fine.
Yeah. Well,
we're in a rush.
Oh God. Yeah. You're lucky we're not a wrestling figure podcast, toy collecting podcast, because boy, would we have shit to talk about. But no, that's kind of where I'm at.
Cool. So yeah, the Monsterverse is the main thing going on right now with Godzilla, but many more things to come, and more things to come after this. Figure me, Daddy Slick.
Oh yeah, we may not discuss a lot of wrestling figures, but we do discuss kaiju related figures and purchases, and pal, I got some. Got some this week. A lot of it was very unexpected too. I'll start with the lowest and work my way up to the main event. Wish I brought my main event purchase here with me.
You did.
But, I realized that on the Gamera side of things, Baragon is not a figure I had represented in my collection. So I've got a mini Bandai Baragon figure, which was kind of cool. So he has been represented in my collection, which is nice. Then I think I've said that that Hot Wheels Godzilla thing, never been able to find it in stores.
Yeah, me neither. I always kept an eye out too.
And I was just happened to be doing my grocery shopping at my local Wegmans, and just happened to walk past like where they had it was like a toy aisle or whatever. Like I cut through, and just to the corner of my eye, I just happened to catch that there was like a Godzilla Hot Wheels thing just hanging there at Wegmans. I was like, of all the places to find this, here it is. So, whatever, grab that. That was pretty good. But then when I got halfway home, I realized I forgot to buy tomato sauce. Like, in a thing that I promised I was going to replace because I used the last of it unexpectedly. My wife had planned on using it, and I kind of derailed those plans by not asking first. So I was like, shit, I got to get some pasta sauce or tomato sauce. So I stopped at the Target on the way home. What did I find at Target? The fucking Super 7 reaction line, the new wave, almost the entire wave. King Ghidorah and Hedorah are missing. But Godzilla 84, Godzilla 62, the half-transformed Mechagodzilla, Godzilla from the 70s. The hell was the other one? Oh my god, who's the other one? I'm blanking on it, but whatever. It's like the whole line was there. And, I complained about how they were like $20 to $25 on Super 7's website. They were $18. I was like, you gotta be shitting me. And I said, so, grabbed them all. And, Gigan. Gigan was the other one. So now I just gotta get King Ghidorah and Hedorah, and just like that, I'm back on that reaction shit. Still a little annoyed. Like, I went to check on the Super 7 website to see if the prices went down to be in accordance with Target. But they did not. They are all still between $20 and $25.
Yep.
So, and this was a toy line that last year was in the running for, if I didn't actually declare it my toy line or figures of the year. But I was glad to find those at a cheaper price. That was nice. So, but the main event purchase came. It was the Bandai Movie Monster series, the limited Godzilla store exclusive, Godzilla 73, the Godzilla from Godzilla vs. Megalon. And I'm going to go out right now and say, as of right now, This is my figure of the year.
Oh, wow.
Right now. Now we don't have the Haya Toys one yet. There's still a Mezco set that hasn't come out yet. But right now, I am declaring this my figure of the year. So I brought it over here. You're taking a look at it.
I'm holding it right now, and I got my Bandai
The 60,
figure from
Bandai America, Godzilla 68.
Yeah, and I'm just comparing them because they're very similar looking. Yours, just spot on with the head. The body looks really good. I would almost say that it's like more detailed in some areas and less detailed in others compared to the other Bandai figure. But the big thing that I noticed right away was that the tail is just fully painted.
That's what happens when you tap that. Godzilla Store limited exclusive. You're gonna get, for the most part, most of the time, you're gonna get a fully painted tail. But yeah, I think the detail on the 73 figure is incredible. I also have the 74 figure that came out several years ago.
Yeah.
Those two suits are very, very similar to each other. And I mean, this one, I think, just like the head sculpt, I just think is spot on.
Yeah.
They did a good job painting the eyes. I feel like his mouth is closed. And, at first I was like, oh, that's weird. He's like not roaring. Not often you have a closed mouth.
That's how it looked when his mouth was closed.
Yeah. I love that the tag is got like it's the publicity still where he's like holding the tree, kind of sheathed like a sword, and that he's got the telephone post in his mouth like a toothpick. I almost kind of wish
There you go.
I always kind of wish they came with accessories so I could put like a tree branch, something like that, in his hand. I might be able to find something that could fit. But I just think the detail, the paint, plus this is my first Godzilla that I ever saw in a movie. So it's got that nostalgia hit for me too. But this is my right now. If tomorrow was the last day of the year, this is my figure of the year right now.
I can't sweat you. Like when you said like that Super 7 reaction was in you're running for figure of the year, I was kind of like like not mine, but like fine, like it's your figure of the year, so you get to say what you want, but definitely not mine. This one, I'm like, this one is for reals.
And I'm also not counting X pluses like in that, because if you're a statue or more statue like, I'm not going to really count that. But as far as like articulated figures, this right now is my figure of the year.
Like legit, from where the way the tag looks, I have them in the same position, and it's like dead on.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Even they got like the dorsal plates where it was kind of like puffy pillows on that suit, and they kind of got that look just right.
I didn't notice that, but they do look like puffy pillows.
Yeah, like the dorsal plates of that suit are just like, and for the 74 and 75 suit, they were more like puffy pillows, and they like nailed the look of them.
Yeah. So I will say I will be in total agreement with you on that one. Solid figure.
Yeah. I'm going to say the contenders to this are going to be ultimately the Haya Godzilla figure when we do ultimately get that. And then I also have the -1 Bandai Movie Monster Series figure pre-ordered already. Curious to see how that compares to this. Although I did just recall that the marshmallowy chocolate Hedorah figure did also come out this year. So so maybe that I'm still gonna put this above that, but just barely.
I'm putting the chocolate Hedorah one above that. Sorry.
It's
I can't not.
It's gonna, I feel like it's gonna come down to the two of them at the end of this year. So we'll see.
That's definitely a contender for sure.
Oh yeah. I mean, let's the Hedorah figure is just so ridiculous. But anyway, so yeah, that was my purchases.
I'm still waiting on my Haya figure to come in too. So
yeah,
I just as an update on that saga, I've maintained. I was like, I feel like the Haya figure is going to come before the Ultimate Dragon figure. They just posted an update. Not Big Bad Toy Store.
Boss Fight.
Boss Fights was like, we got these. They're going to be heading out soon.
Yeah,
and I was just like, Awesome.
Apparently, like the Haya figure, people only got it like that ordered through like one particular website.
Yeah.
Which so I'm not going to slam the place that we ordered through, but I have learned in the future that whatever it is this other site does that gets their stuff earlier, that's where I'm going to order it from now on.
Yeah.
So if it was like everybody else had them by now, because the site that we ordered through is actually like a big like toy distributor website, so like they're usually pretty on the ball. So but it'll get here. It'll get here. We'll see.
But I think the Ultimo Dragon might come before it. I'm shocked.
It might.
A year-long wait. What is it with places making me wait a year for things? I never understand it. It's my whole life. It's been the story of my whole life.
Yeah.
P-Rock, this.
Oh boy, it's dated. So yeah, that's all I got. I don't know. I don't think we did we have a plan of what we were doing next? I think we'll figure it out offline.
we got some things in the works in the pipeline we've discussed.
Yes.
But we haven't ironed it out yet. So we're gonna convene. We're gonna have a come to slick moment, and we'll come back to you with a fun episode in 2 weeks.
There you go.
Don't expect the same temperament. Anything you want to say to the listeners before we go?
Don't expect the same temperament.
I'm going to not be as sober as I am.
Oh, yeah. We were both sober for this episode.
Yeah.
Huh. Well, I hope we were still fun.
Oh, definitely. But, yeah, anything you want to leave to the listeners?
No, not at all.
What is dead may never die.